Live from the NJ.com studio comes the only weekly TV podcast you'll need, where a lofty critic squares off with an obsessed superfan on everything from highbrow drama to lowbrow reality. The cocktail shaker is ready. Prepare for your TV hangover. Now, your hosts, Vicki Hyman and Erin Medley.
Hello and welcome to TV Hangover. I am one of your hosts, Erin Medley, alongside the lovely Vicki Hyman, who looks great in green today.
Well, you know why I'm dressed up today.
I do know why, and we're going to get to it. This is TV Hangover. We are your favorite, hopefully, podcasts about all things television. And you can find us on Twitter at TV Hangover Show, at E_meds, at Vicki High, VICKIHY. That's right. And we have an email address, tvhangovershow at njadvancedmedia.com. Jack Lugo, still reading your email.
Hi, Jack.
2 weeks in. Vicki, exciting day for you. You're dressed up. You have on your emerald green sweater. I'm painting a picture here for our listeners with your cleavage bearing
a little bit of
dress.
Cleavage. Now you're making me feel self-conscious.
You look amazing.
Thank you.
You're going out tonight.
With a tiny bit of makeup on, you probably can't tell.
I don't wear makeup, so I don't know.
Okay.
Hot date?
No.
With a couple ladies.
Well, with quite a few ladies. Quite a few cranky ladies.
Please
Otherwise
tell.
known as the Real Housewives of New Jersey. Yes, I am going to the taping of the finale tonight. I'm going to be in the belly of the beast, people. Melissa Gorga is hosting a fashion show for her shop Envy, and this is where the finale is going to go down in Hawthorne, New Jersey, Macaluso's Catering Hall.
Oh, I've never been there.
I will be there.
I grew up in that area. I feel like had we given this more forethought, we could have come up with some way for Vicki to get on TV, like something in the background, maybe hold up a TV Hangover podcast, like sign something.
I should have come up with a formal gown that has our faces.
Yes,
our cartoon faces on the
amazing.
dress.
So you're very excited about this. I'm excited for you.
I'm interested after having followed the show for so long to actually be there when it happens, when it goes on. Although, quite frankly, whatever drama is going to happen probably will be happening in a room off the catering hall, and we won't be able to see it, I'm guessing. But I'm going to be there. Maybe Teresa will be chasing somebody around the halls of Macaluso like she did at the North Jersey Country Club back in 2010. Maybe some extensions will be pulled. Who knows? As
long as they're not your extensions.
I don't have any extensions.
Well, there's that. I'm very excited for you. I can't wait to hear the report. You will be live tweeting.
Yes, I should be live tweeting.
So if you're listening
Unless
to this...
take away my phone for some reason.
If you're listening to this podcast after Wednesday evening, just go back and look at some of Vicki's tweets and see what she finds. And then you'll report back next week if you can, right?
Yeah, I mean, who knows? I think the big news will be whether or not Jacqueline Larita actually shows up, because apparently she's on the outs with the rest of the cast. Yeah, I know.
Can we get a new storyline? I'm so over like these
I think that's a topic for later. Isn't that a topic for later?
Is it?
Reality shows.
Oh, you know what I've been meaning to do for the last few weeks is give our listeners a rundown of what's going to be on the show, because maybe they want to know. Maybe they don't want to be on a surprise journey with us. So we're going to do our news headlines as we usually do. Then we're going to talk about TV shows that were canceled too early based on some news that came out last week. Then we're going to do a segment called That's Still On, because there are a bunch of shows where they're making announcements about cast changes, and I'm like, that show's still on? Really? Okay. And then we're going to talk about the reality TV shark jump, and we're going to have our producer Anthony on, because Vicki doesn't watch enough reality TV to...
I'll mention one, and then you guys can move on.
And
one,
we will.
Yes.
Because a show that should be in the That's Still On category premiered a couple weeks ago, and Anthony and I want to discuss. But before we get to that, let's get into some news. I take a pause because producer Alyssa, I asked her last week for some news music. Oh, there it is. She's got to go. Oh my God, it's People's Court.
Oh my God.
I love it. Because I'm obsessed. All right, so that's our news music. Let me get the news voice on. Wayward Pines, Vicki.
Excited.
Coming back for season 2 this summer. We loved it last summer. they've released some information about the new season, and it premieres May 25th at 9 p.m. Variety reports that Jason Patric and Jaimin Hansu have joined the
Nice
class.
pronunciation.
Thank you. Have joined the cast. And after watching a preview video released by the network, it's now clear how the show can continue, given the fact that if you have not watched season 2, this is a spoiler, main character Matt Dillon's character, who's one of the main characters, died in season 1. But a lot of the same cast members will be back. It's just now the first generation of Wayward Pinesians. What do we call them?
Wayward Pinesians.
Sure.
Well, as you recall, at the end of season 1, there was the Abbeys invaded the town, and a lot of people were killed. Although not everybody that you thought were killed were actually killed. Hope Davis's character survived, even though she was left in an underground room with an Abbey. But okay, and then. Basically, the older residents of the town get put to sleep by the younger first-generation residents, who in the second season are kind of like
running the
Nazi-like running the show. And Jason Patric is, I guess, one of the older people who are. I don't know if he's like from the previous time, like Matt Dillon was and is awakened, or was actually awake during the first season, but we just didn't see him. But love Jason Patric. I'm excited. It's a show that I think definitely had legs. What I like about it is that it was supposed to be a limited series, and they did that. And yes, they gave a little twist at the end, which I didn't mind at all. When you find out what happened with the first generation taking over, it didn't just end. And so it could have ended, but I think there is more story to tell.
I agree, but I love the first season of Wayward Pines. The one aspect of it that I could live without, the Abbeys, I think they're unnecessary.
Oh, and there's going to be more Abbeys in the second season. I'm very interested because, I really do love, the whole world building, and that the Abbeys apparently have a point of view. They're not just like, animals.
Right.
They can, I guess, speak to one another, communicate with one another, and as the video trailer says, these people in Wayward Pines are living in the Abbeys world now.
Right. Now, 2 other things that I want to discuss with you quickly. In season 1, I'm either misremembering or I'm thinking of like one of the Planet of the Apes movies. Did we see a scene where someone had like gotten out of the town and then they were in like San Francisco or something, and they had the video message?
Oh, I think they did, but I think that was it was a flashback to something that had happened earlier. So I don't think it was like I don't think people are in present day San Francisco. I think they had gotten some video after, the Abbey started appearing. And
see, because that to me was fascinating. I'm like, are there people outside of Wayward Pines? I want to see more of that.
Maybe that's season 3.
Maybe, which there hopefully will be. I know that I read an article where M. Night Shyamalan said that
who is not a complete fraud, people.
No.
This is actually very good.
It is very good. That they went into this thinking that they have a story to tell in 3 seasons. So if Fox brings it back for the 3rd season, it seems like we'll have a complete story.
And I think it's based on 3 books, although the books this has gone a different way than the books.
Right. Well, I'm excited. Can't wait for it to return. That is May 25th at 9 p.m. on Fox. Another show that I know we've both really enjoyed was American Crime Story, The People vs. O.J. Simpson, which had its penultimate episode last night on Tuesday. And then next week is the finale, or the end of the series.
Let me just say, I'm just in love with Sterling K. Brown. I want to marry Christopher Darden. I would throw over my husband in a second.
Do you think he developed a list last night?
I don't think so.
Okay, maybe that was just
He does have a nice soft-spoken way about him.
There was something weird about him, how he was talking in last episode. But if you are sad to see The People versus O.J. Simpson go, ESPN has you covered. Deadline reports that there's a 5-part documentary series, O.J. Made in America, kicking off on June 11th at 9 p.m. on ABC, and then it'll move to ESPN on June 14th. Now, Dan Feinberg, who is a TV critic, I saw him yesterday tweeted that he loved this miniseries and can't wait for everyone else to see it. Yeah, I'm excited. I'll watch it. You're not in?
I don't know. I mean, I hope. I mean, the thing that was interesting about the FX series is that it's taking you inside. It's taking you inside the trial and the legal shenanigans and machinations, and it was all very interesting. And I didn't know a lot of this stuff. Mm-hmm. I don't know how interested I am in hearing about OJ's rise and fall, because I just feel like I kind of know that already.
See, I was young. Maybe I was like 12 or 13 when the whole the whole Bronco chase and everything happened in the trial. So I remember that, but I don't remember O.J. Simpson as a football player. Like, he was always the guy in the car commercials for me. So I'm kind of interested to see, like, why he was such a popular figure with Americans.
It has gotten really good reviews, and I guess I'll check it out, but it's not like something I'm dying to see.
You're not watching 30 for 30 on a regular basis?
No, I don't think I've ever watched 30 for 30.
Oh my gosh, it's so
on
good.
any basis.
I'm not a big sports person. I am, a little interested in very specific sports, but 30 for 30, I will watch any of them. They're all pretty good. The other thing is, in addition, the Esquire Network. Do you know what channel that is? I'm just asking.
No.
Plans to air the real O.J. Simpson trial, which is a marathon of highlights from the courtroom. That airs this Sunday, April 3rd, from 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. Jeez Louise.
I don't know if I certainly would not want to watch all of it, but I'm certainly interested in seeing some of it because I find it fascinating from the FX series, especially when they're recreating the moments in the courtroom and they actually do. You see the actors on a video screen, and I'm like, I want to see what that was really like. And I've been reading I don't know if it's Hollywood Reporter maybe or Variety. Somebody's fact checking the series, and that's very interesting to me. Like saying what actually happened when it happened but didn't happen. Then
I think it's
find
Vanity Fair.
Is it Vanity Fair?
I think it's Vanity Fair. Yeah.
Sorry.
No, I agree with you. And there was another network like FYI or Fingerprint or ID, I don't know, whatever. One of those networks that aired like a 2-hour documentary about the trial, and it was basically footage from the courtroom and then like all those press conferences that we've seen, and it was really good. I watched the whole thing, and I would watch it again.
When I was watching the screeners, and I was like, this can't be. I actually went back and I was watching the press conferences, and I was just amazed. And that's when I realized, like when I first saw the first episode, I really wasn't crazy about it. I'm like, oh, this is ridiculous. And then I realized that's what it was. It was ridiculous. And then I started to like it, and there are still some elements like Faye Resnick, Connie Britton, that are ridiculous.
You know what? We haven't seen Connie in a while.
We haven't seen her. No, and I'm happy about that. Although John Travolta, I think, has been dialing it down a little bit, and he has not been annoying me as much.
Well, in last night's episode, I thought for a moment that John Travolta's Robert Shapiro was the voice of reason, and I was like, what is going on? Is it opposite day? Because he's hardly ever the voice of reason. But I don't know if you saw, I tweeted last night that every week I go into the show and I'm like, the prosecution, they have got it. Like, this is their week.
You know that this actually happened in real life,
case. Right? And then every week they screw it up.
I know. Well, I don't know if they screwed it up so much as, I mean, last night, I don't think they screwed it up.
Well, Darden told Marcia early on.
No, they screwed it up several weeks ago.
Correct.
Yes, by agreeing firm, but they didn't screw up. They found the tapes and they ruled some of it was admissible. But fascinating. And I didn't know anything. I just didn't remember anything about Ito's wife being in the tapes. I was like,
neither
Googling
did I.
that. It was fascinating.
But we wouldn't have known. Oh, we would have known that as the public.
We would have known that, but like there were stories written about it at the time.
Know that. Yeah. Right. Okay. Well, we're fascinated by O.J. Simpson, and that fascination is not going anywhere soon. So, Vicki, last week, HBO made an announcement that angered tens of people, including yourself, and that is that Togetherness will not return for season 3.
Togetherness, for those of you who have not been paying attention, because I've been talking about it sporadically, it is the show by the Duplass brothers about a married couple and his best friend, her sister, who all sort of live together in Los Angeles. It is very it's kind of white privilege a bit, although these people I don't think are rich.
Right.
It is the problems of the comfortable class, but it's very well done. It's very funny. It feels very, very true. It's like sort of like they're very self-absorbed, but not in a girls kind of way. And I'm very sorry to see it go. Luckily HBO gives the critics the entire season of Togetherness to watch, maybe because they hope that they'll give it some buzz, and I've given as much buzz as I can. Didn't do any good,
and it's only like 8 episodes.
It's only 8 episodes. I watched the whole season, and it ended on a high note. A little unbelievable, a little like rosy glasses kind of high point. So it's a decent way to end it, but there was so much more stories to tell about, just what I loved about it. It's a perspective you don't get a lot. the beginning, middle of a marriage. You get the lead up to the marriage, and then you get the beginning of the marriage and just the babies. But like when you kind of start to get sick of one another, and like what do you do then? But you still love each other.
Do you think that's why maybe the show didn't hit it off with a lot of viewers? Is that it's a very specific experience, and if you don't have that experience, maybe you don't get it.
I mean, Girls is kind of a specific experience too. I don't think HBO did a lot of promotion with this. I don't know if HBO really cared as much about this particular show. I mean, they just kind of put it out there, and that's it.
Well, I did watch the pilot episode this past weekend, and I thought it was okay, and I was ready to watch more, but I couldn't find episode 2 on my on-demand. But I will look for it again, and then I'll catch up, and then I can lament its demise, I guess.
What do you think?
No,
about shows that you
about
feel...
shows that I thought were gone too soon? Okay, so I'm going to take it old school, and you're going to be like, I don't know what the show is. Malibu Shores. It was a little Erin Spelling gem that starred one Carrie Russell.
Oh my God, when was this?
Way back in the mid-90s.
Is this before Felicity?
Absolutely.
I thought she was like 7 when Felicity started. I know.
Malibu
Shores.
Yes, it also starred Tony Lucca, who was on Mickey Mouse Club as well.
Okay.
Vicky has no idea what I'm talking about.
No.
So it premiered in 96. It had what's the Aaron Spelling's son, because he was on it too.
The one who was in the reality show?
Randy Spelling. Yes. So before Tori was cast in 90210, there was a nepotism going on with Randy.
Really?
Yes. Randy was on Malibu Shores. It was an Aaron Spelling show. And it starred these 2 kids. It was like the OC before the OC. And there's 2 kids from, different sides of the track, and they fall in love over the summer, and they start dating, and then they're like in high school, and it was only on for like 10 episodes. Canceled too soon. It was the OC before the OC became the OC, and no one watched it because they aired it over the summer.
I don't even know what to say. I have nothing to say to that.
I cannot believe it. Charisma Carpenter was on the show. She went on to be on pre-Buffy. Exactly. None of these other people, I don't know who they are. No idea.
So you think there was plenty more storytelling to do on Malibu Shores?
In 1996, I was going to high school. So I'm entering this world, and I'm looking at these teenagers, and I'm like, oh, that's what high school is going to be like. I'm going to find a cute guy, preferably Tony Lucca, and we're going to fall in love, and then we're going to live our lives happily ever after. So I was really into the show, so much so that when I got to college in 2000, and eBay was like a big thing, I went on an eBay hunt for all of the episodes of
VHS?
Malibu on VHS.
Oh my God.
And I found them, and I bought them. Like VHS that someone recorded off of their television, because we didn't have DVDs back then, or they were expensive. I just love this show. I thought it was canceled too soon, and it still resonates.
I actually still have the VHS of My So-Called Life, which is kind of like the classic cancel too soon.
I think I have that on VHS too, but it's like the official box set or something.
No, mine is taped off my TV.
The TV with the commercials and everything.
With the commercials, which are always a joy to revisit.
Well, other than Togetherness, Vicky, what is your gone too soon show?
Well, I mean, My So-Called Life is just is the classic. I have to say that, and these are 2 shows that everybody talks about as being canceled too soon, but they were great. Freaks and Geeks and Undeclared, the 2 Judd Apatow shows that have, which went on to launch myriad careers.
True.
So I guess you can't really complain about that. But I mean, so good, so funny. What I liked about them is that they just weren't like your classic, laugh track sitcoms. They were really, I think, in the vanguard, and I'm very sad to see them go. And it's always good to get Freaks and Geeks was early 80s, right?
No.
Mid 80s? When was it? Was it 90s?
Yes. Or it could have been like early 2000s.
Really?
Yes.
No. When was it set?
Oh. No, I think it was set in the 80s.
Okay. I'm not
Wasn't
going crazy
it? Or
here.
were they just like really retro kids?
Yeah. No, I loved it.
Okay, I got it. Ready? It aired in 99, and it was set in the 80s.
Thank you. Okay.
Yes.
Not going crazy.
Wow.
And the other show, which I think I've mentioned on here before, which I thought was wonderful, is called Wonder Falls. Did anybody remember Wonder Falls? Maybe that's my Malibu Shores.
Maybe.
It came out in the 2000s. It lasted 1 season. It starred Caroline DeVernas and Lee Pace. We all know who Lee Pace is now.
Yes, from Pushing Daisies.
Yes,
another
from Pushing
canceled
Daisy.
too soon show, in my opinion.
Okay.
No? Okay.
I liked Pushing Daisies. It got a little too twee for me too fast. But it was very good. Wonder Falls was just this weird show about a very smart, very obnoxious girl who takes a job in a gift shop in Niagara Falls, and soon the little tchotchkes in the gift shop starts talking to her and telling her what to do and stuff. But it's quirky and funny and wonderful, and you should look it up. One season.
I will. I'll see if I can find it somewhere. But you did mention My So-Called Life, and I think everyone thinks that show was canceled too soon.
I actually interviewed Winnie Holtzman, who is the creator of My So-Called Life. She has a new show coming out in Roadies for Showtime. And I had to sit there through the interview. This is the Winter Press Tour. I had to sit there asking all my questions about Roadies. I was like, okay, let's talk about My So-Called Life. Please bring it back. And she's like, well, Claire Danes is a little busy. It's like, I don't care.
No, you can't bring it back at that would be one of those where I'd be like, why mess with perfection that first season? The scene where Angela is like, she gets out of bed and she's like jumping around because Jordan talked to her. Like, I mean, I
had a conversation with I know him as Swampy Nomo because that's his Twitter handle. That's Doug, I think. We were talking about how annoying teenagers are on television. This is off my interview with the Americans, Hope.
The one that plays the
Hope
daughter.
Taylor, I think. I'm sorry. I'm blanking on her name right now. Lovely girl, lives in New Jersey. She's from Wayne. She plays Paige Jennings on The Americans, about basically how annoying teenagers are on TV, and is it because teenagers are annoying or because they write them annoying? And I think generally it's that they write them to be annoying, although they can be annoying. But Angela Chase was so beautifully written, and it was really perfect. And she could be annoying too.
Yeah, but
because they can be horrible. Teenagers can be horrible. Having one, they can be horrible.
But don't you think I don't know how recently you've watched My So-Called Life, but if you go back and watch it, she's extra annoying. I think being older now.
I think her younger sister is extra annoying. I've never found her to be... I mean, I could see when she was being selfish and being short-sighted and everything like that, but there was so much humanity in her.
Maybe Rayanne was a little more annoying.
Yes.
Rayanne was definitely
she was annoying.
Irritating. But we still love that show very much. Now, before we move on to our next topic of That's Still On, I just want to backtrack a little and talk about last night's James Corden Carpool Karaoke Primetime special on CBS. I watched the whole thing. Didn't mean to, by the way, because it was on at the same time as The People versus O.J. Simpson. So I recorded it. And at 11, I'm like, all right, I'll watch 15 minutes and then I'll watch the rest tomorrow. 15 minutes turned into me watching the entire thing.
It was great.
It was so funny.
I do not watch a lot of late night shows. I did go to a James Corden taping when I was, again, at the Winter Press Tour. And I found him to be, incredibly charming and talented. And he gave me the warm and fuzzies. And I think that is, what his secret is. He gets these celebrities to sort of drop their guard because he's just so genuine and so enthusiastic. I know Jimmy Fallon has that kind of shtick too, but I just think that James Corden is just more genuine.
Right. And so the special, while it was called Carpool Karaoke Primetime Special or whatever, it incorporated other bits into it. It wasn't just Carpool Karaoke. They started out with the Adele Carpool Karaoke, which is amazing. And if you haven't seen it, go on YouTube. But then they went into this bit where they performed Grease in the middle of the street in LA at a stoplight. And so every time the light would change, they would walk out into the middle of the street and do one of the songs from Grease. And I just thought it was hysterical.
Well, my favorite one was when they went along with the $1 Million Listings.
Yes.
I mean, and he was just being an inappropriate realtor and stripped down, got in the pool, was on the toilet.
As he said, how do you know how deep the pool
That's
is
true.
if you don't get in?
And you think he was really surprised by how cold it was?
Yes, probably.
He's like, it's not heated.
No.
And the Jennifer Lopez Carpool Karaoke is I didn't even know that she had that many songs, quite frankly.
Look, that's you. That's a Vicki thing.
That's on me.
Vicki. Jennifer Lopez has had many songs.
And when he tweeted at Leonardo DiCaprio was so funny.
So James and J-Lo are in the car, or J-Co and J-Lo are in the car, and he goes, let me look through your cell phone, which she hands over to him, and he's scrolling through, and she's and she has all these names in there, Demi Lovato, Iggy Azalea, and it's Leonardo DiCaprio, and he's like, I'm going to text Leo, and she's like, don't call him Leo, I would never call him that. He starts texting like, I need a place to go out tonight, baby, like, hey baby, I need a place to go out tonight. And so at the end of the carpool, they get a text back from Leonardo DiCaprio that says,
hey boo,
hey boo boo, no, boo boo, not just boo. Boo boo, do you want to go to the club or something like that? Right?
He's like, what are you thinking, club wise or something?
Oh yeah. And it's like, all I kept thinking was, I really hope Leonardo DiCaprio has his assistant replying to text messages. I cannot imagine him saying, hey boo boo.
I don't know, maybe he does have an assistant who is very close to Jennifer Lopez, but why would the assistant say boo boo to Jennifer Lopez?
Why would anyone say boo boo to Jennifer Lopez?
I thought it was awesome. I love James Corden, and I wish I had more time to watch you.
Yeah.
At 12:30.
No, 1.
1. Oh.
Yeah, it's late.
Yeah.
It's the late show. So, yeah. But anyway, the primetime special was great, and I wouldn't mind watching another one of those. But now we're going to take a little turn here to talk about shows that are still on. So last week, in other big TV news for someone somewhere, CBS announced that Shamar Moore would not be returning to Criminal Minds. And I said, that's still on?
Yes, it's still on. And actually, well, I knew it was still on because they came out. They came out with this. They're coming out with this. They came out with a spinoff.
Oh, yeah.
I didn't even watch it. I'm sorry.
Wait, what is that?
Criminal
called?
Minds Beyond Borders with Gary Sinise.
Right.
So they investigate Americans who run into bad things happen to abroad. I don't know.
And they have criminal minds.
And they run into people with criminal minds abroad.
Criminal Minds has been on since 2005. That's 11 years.
Did it once star my TV boyfriend, Mandy Patinkin? Am I crazy?
Did it?
Or am I crazy? Look it up.
I'll Google it.
I know, I think Joe Mantegna was on it, or is it still on? I don't even know.
Well, you know what else was a show where I was like, that's still on? CSI. Before it went off last year. And, yes, Mandy Patinkin was on Criminal Minds for 2 years. CSI was on, and I watched that for like 11 seasons and then stopped watching, and it was still on for like 5 more years.
But why did you stop watching? I mean, like, surely after like the second or third season, you knew exactly what you were getting. So why shouldn't it just continue to go on?
So here's why I stopped watching. Because I could, and this is where I'm getting to with Law & Order SVU, which has also been on for a long time. It's easy to figure out who did it.
Yes.
I don't want to be able to figure it out. It can't always be the one recognizable guest star per week.
But it is.
I know.
Well, sometimes, I mean, like, I think I've told this story before where, the only time I've ever watched NCIS is when I'm watching with my mother, when my mother's in the hospital. And, like, I'm sitting there and we put on the TV and NCIS seems to be on and we watch together because my mother loves NCIS. And the episodes that I've seen, there have been no recognizable faces, but I still could figure out exactly who did it.
And that's the trouble with these shows. Are there any other shows that are still on where you're like, what?
Well, I mean, it's funny. There's a show with Tim Allen called Last Man Standing, which I have never watched 1 second of, but I refuse to believe it is not the same show as Still Standing, which was the Mark Addy show from 2004 to 2008, or according to Jim, 2001 to 2009. I'm convinced they're all exactly the same show.
Was, according to Jim, the one with Courtney?
Yes, Courtney Thorne-Smith and Jim Belushi, the schlubby guy in The Hot Wife paradigm. Right. Yeah, honestly, I don't even know if Tim Allen has a hot wife in here.
No, he doesn't. I mean, no offense to the actress, Nancy Travis.
No, what are you talking about? Lovely woman. Lovely woman.
Yeah, but she's not a Courtney Thorne-Smith type.
She's not that much. Yeah, I mean, there's an age difference.
Right.
I'm just saying Nancy Travis is an attractive woman.
I'm not saying she's not attractive. I'm just saying
I don't want to get angry phone calls from the Nancy Travis fans out there.
That's not what I meant. She's perfectly lovely for her age group.
Yeah, there's that. Two Broke Girls. I'm kind of astounded by.
Well, the same could be said for Big Bang Theory, which, again, I'd like to know. I had a conversation with your editor, Chris, this morning, where he runs down the list of television shows that his mom watches, including Criminal Minds and NCIS and Blue Bloods and Hawaii Five-0. And I'm like, oh, I love Hawaii Five-0. And he's like, yeah, my mom likes all these weird shows. And I say, does she watch The Big Bang Theory? And he goes, no, she hates that show. So this further proves my theory that no one is actually watching. It's all some weird numbers game because we have yet to have one person tweet us saying they watch The Big Bang Theory, but it gets millions of viewers every week. I can't name anyone I know who watches that show. Can you, Vicki?
I know that I've talked to people who have watched the show. I can't name names.
Exactly.
Now.
Producer
but I know I've
Anthony.
talked to people who've watched the show.
My mom watches that show.
Okay, there we go.
Okay, we got one.
What's your mom's name?
Carmela.
Carmela?
Yeah.
Carmela
Marla
watches.
Venitolo.
But here's the thing. She doesn't understand
She's an
any of the
influencer.
jokes.
She,
So why does she watch it?
I have no idea. But
See?
She tells me every time, I love that show.
but she doesn't understand the jokes.
Not
Okay,
one.
see, there's a problem. So maybe people are turning it on and just not turning it off. They're just on that channel.
Maybe there are like a whole lot of people out there in comas whose TVs are turned to like Nielsen pays off the nursing
Yes.
homes.
Oh my
Says
God.
keep it on Channel 4.
That's it too.
Two? Oh, that's right, CBS. I'm sorry.
Here in New
CBS.
York. Okay, so again, I'd like to put out this call to our listeners, because I know there are tens of you. If you watch The Big Bang Theory and you like the show, or you don't like the show, or it's just on, please tweet us at TV Hangover Show, because I need to know who's watching this. And maybe we'll have you on to talk about why you watch it.
Or we could do a podcast from a nursing home. I don't know.
Now
my
you're going to
theory.
get angry emails. So on to our next topic here, which is the reality TV Shark Jump. Speaking of shows that are still on, The Real World returned for its 35th season? What is it, 33, 31?
25 or
No, it's definitely in the 30s.
Right.
It's definitely in the 30s. Returned Go Big or Go Home, it's called. Real World, Go Big or Go Home. And the twist this season, Vicki, because I know you are very excited to know, is that the house guests will have to complete some tasks, like unknown number of tasks. And if someone refuses to complete the task, they are then sent home and replaced.
Which sounds like another show.
The Challenge.
The Challenge. Which was a spin-off.
Of The Real World.
Okay.
That is correct in Road Rules. So producer Anthony and I are both diehard Real World, The Challenge, Road Rules fans, have been for a long time. And we're not feeling this twist.
I'm not at all. In fact, I'm starting to think that the challenges aren't going to be so much physical, but kind of like a demon that they have to overcome.
Right.
That's the sense that I got after watching last week.
Right. So we saw in the first episode they had to jump out of a hot air balloon.
Which was really confusing for the viewers.
so many things.
By making us think that this is going to be a challenge
like a physical challenge.
I'm
yeah.
not on board with that.
Well, then in the episode we saw last week, episode 2, there were 2 challenges. One, the male house guests had to dress up as drag queens or like cross-dress and go out to a club. So that was their challenge.
Which that one dude was completely into.
the homeless guy.
Yeah.
What's his name? He has a weird
name is-
Dion.
Something
Dion?
kind of exotic.
Right.
Like a butler's name or something.
Right, or a boho homeless person.
Exactly. But he was totally into it because he probably picked up a dress off the street.
Well, he said that he and his friends do this at home. They go out and cross-dress, which is totally fine, but like that was the challenge, which seems stupid.
That was a challenge for the other dudes in the house who were
Right.
like, I don't want to put on a dress.
Well, the one guy is like, what do you call it when you are attracted to all sexes? What's that called?
Pansexual.
Pansexual, or bisexual, or sexually fluid, as Niall DeMarco from Dancing with the Stars is.
Oh, really?
Yes, I wrote that up the other day.
Interesting. So I don't see why he had such a issue with it. It was kind of weird. But the black guy, whose name I can't remember, I apologize for calling him the black guy. But
He wasn't down with it.
No, he was not. He was like, we don't, black guys don't do this. And it was like, well, yeah.
But here's
okay.
the thing. They're in Las Vegas. If you're going to dress up or cross-dress,
That would be the place.
That's the place.
Like, no one's looking at you. Everyone's drunk.
Go to, like, Dallas or, somewhere, like
Right.
Louisiana.
Like, I didn't see how that was a challenge.
It wasn't
for them.
really a challenge. Just furthering my opinion and probably yours that this
Yeah.
season may be kind of lame.
Also, when the hashtag is go big or go home, I'm like, F it. Like, I'm going to go home. And then one of the roommates, her challenge is to find her birth mother, which I'm like, what?
Like, how is that a challenge? If anything, isn't it a challenge for the detective?
Basically, so she's adopted, and she found out she's 21 now, and she found out she was adopted when she was 12. So they've tasked her with working with a detective to find her birth mother.
I mean, how can she even do this? I don't understand.
I mean, the detective is the one who's going to do all the work, and her mom, she called her mom, her adopted mom, but her mom, to get the information about the adoption, and then she's going to pass it on to the detective, who's then going to locate
It really would just make more sense for
mother.
the detective to talk one-on-one with the mother who knows the information.
No, you got to do pass-through.
Didn't you love how all her mother was concerned with was
Her hair.
Her hair.
Yeah, she called her mom, and she's like, Mom, I need you to send me the papers from the adoption. And her mom's like, did you get your hair done? And she's like, Mom, there are more important things right now.
That was kind of funny. But
But I just think that the real world has jumped the shark here. And they should go back to the format where it's 7 strangers picked to live in the house. They do work. They have jobs. They have ambitions other than being a reality show star.
I'm sorry. Like when I was watching way back when, they did have to get jobs. Did that
Yes.
stop at some point?
kind of
It did.
sort of. I mean, I remember them
Because-
working in a bar a few seasons ago.
Right. But remember in the beginning, it was they had their regular jobs.
Yeah.
And then it transitioned to group jobs where everyone worked at the same place. They don't do that at all anymore where they all have to work. It was like, remember that one season? I felt like it was more volunteer kind of work.
Where at the
my God.
aquarium there was a
Yeah.
bar that was like Key West or
That
something.
was like 10 seasons ago, 15 seasons ago.
I mean, if anything, working together will teach these kids camaraderie, how to get
No.
along with others. If you
Yeah, that
don't
works
like
so well
people,
on Jersey Shore.
Well,
I mean,
No.
I just don't understand why these.
instead, what they're doing is, and I feel like such an old crabby lady when I say this, but the one young woman from Miami is constantly throwing her vagina around. I'm sorry.
What does that mean?
That means
That sounds
that
very painful.
She didn't throw out her vagina, just threw it around. She is attracted to the boho homeless guy, Dion. And, you know, back in the day, you'd be more subtle about it. You'd just be like, hi, Dion, and like try to talk to him and be around him. No, instead, she's basically throwing her vagina in his face.
Well,
like,
they all are,
when
kind
we,
of.
When we have sex, can I do this? Like, you know we're going to have sex. Can I braid your hair after we have sex? And it's like, what?
But they did.
And they did have sex.
Did she braid his hair?
No. But this is what happened.
Would that turn you on, Anthony, by some lady coming up to you and saying, after we have sex, can I braid your hair?
I
mean,
wish
that's
I
the
had
weirdest
hair
thing.
that long.
Well, it's because he said, he has really long hair. He said that he doesn't let anyone touch his hair. And she's like, well, after we have sex, you're going to let me touch your hair. And he's like, no. But wait, but here's the thing. They have sex in the room with another housemate, and that housemate is like, well, this is gross. Like, you're having sex and I'm right next to you. I'm not asleep. She gets up and leaves. Next morning, the housemate confronts the young
This
woman.
will happen on Jersey Shore.
I'm sorry,
sure.
but they were okay with it. The housemate confronts this young woman, you know, like, hey, I just thought it was rude that you were trying to have sex while I'm in the room. And she flips out on her. Like, it's somehow her, like, the other girl's fault that she wanted to have sex in the room with her. It's not her fault. What is wrong with you people?
I mean, don't you remember when something like this happened years ago when they were in the shower and they hooked up?
With Melissa, and then Dan was, like, peering through the
and then
window.
they broke the window.
Yes.
But, like,
In
that was, like,
Miami.
news. That was a real-world moment. Like, you
Right.
remembered that. Now, this just seems so...
Right. Like, you know the camera's there, and...
Well, it sounds like she flipped out on her because she wanted to get this on camera and it's drama, blah, blah, blah.
No, she looked genuinely angry.
She
She wasn't
did.
acting.
Right. She couldn't understand why this girl was so upset that they had sex in her
I
room.
think she should probably be on the Bad Girls Club.
Oh
Then
my
it would be
God.
okay.
Talk about another show that jumped the shark. And this is, we know we are boring the tears out of Vicki, but for any of you who like reality TV, trashy reality TV, Anthony and I also watch the Bad Girls Club.
It is a staple.
Bad
of
Girls
mine.
Club 16, we're on right now. Another
16,
show,
yes.
can't believe it's still on. And this season is Sisters.
Yes.
So all of the house guests are related to at least another house guest. And this is where I'll say this show has jumped the shark. On the very first episode this season, Olivia, after a night of clubbing, breaks down to her fellow housemates that she has stage 3 cervical cancer. Everyone's in tears.
And it was really nice to see the girls respond in that manner.
They were
really,
not bad girls in that moment. They were there for her. They were caring for her. Let's flash forward to episode 2, where the producers pull Olivia aside and say, we are concerned about your health. We want to take you to the doctor. And Olivia says, okay, I'll go to the doctor. At the end of the episode, the producers come back and they say, Olivia, You don't have cancer. You never had cancer. The whole thing
And you need to tell the girls.
was a complete lie. Basically, what happened was she went to get a pap smear. So many words I'm saying today. She went to get a pap smear, and it came back abnormal, and they told her you need to go to a doctor. So instead of going to a doctor, you know what a young person, sorry, I don't want to characterize all young people, but this young person did instead was she Googled it.
And she found out she had stage 3 cervical cancer.
She self-diagnosed.
Dr. Google.
Yes. I mean,
You can't make these things up.
you cannot make this stuff up. And these
And we
She
had that
truly
conversa-
believed she had stage 3 cervical
She
cancer?
really did. We had that conversation. We were like, what is she doing on the show?
Right.
She should
Yeah.
Go home.
she should get help. So now all the other house guests are really PO'd with her. Because they think she's just a complete liar. I left out
She's
the
just
part.
completely stupid.
I left out the part where she and her sister are both lesbians and they are ultra close.
Oh, really?
I mean,
Are they throwing their vaginas around?
at each other.
Okay.
Well, they really didn't know one another growing up, right?
Right.
And they just kind of rekindled their...
There is some underlying incestuous
It's
behavior
really weird.
going
But,
on.
you know,
It's
blood
strange.
will be drawn eventually within
Eventually.
any week. And this is the only reality show where blood is drawn, and it's not a competition show. It's just
I'm
a
sorry,
show.
when you say blood is drawn, I'm thinking like drawing blood to like test for
No.
sexually just transmitted
No.
Someone will
diseases.
be
You're saying
punched in
people
the
are
I'm
going to
talking
be
about
fighting.
like a split
Okay,
lip
right,
or...
okay.
But wait, did you not watch last night's episode?
I had to watch People versus OJ.
Okay, so real quick, and then this show is over because I can't anymore. Even I'm disgusted with my TV watching right now. So last night, they kicked 2 girls out of the house because that's like a bad girl staple. Like if you're not up to snuff, the other house guests will band together, destroy your stuff, and kick you out of the house.
Destroy your stuff?
Oh yeah.
Seriously?
Oh
Throw
my
your stuff out
god.
the
And what does
window.
it mean not to be up to snuff on the
That
Bad
means
Girls
you're not
Club?
bad
You're
enough.
not bad enough.
Right.
Okay.
You're too normal.
You
You're
can't
too
keep
much
to
of a nice
yourself.
person.
You have to be really part of the group.
So there were these 2 sisters from Staten Island. Oh, maybe we can get them on the show. But there were these 2 sisters from Staten
sure we
Island.
could.
And they were more into themselves and like calling their boyfriend on the phone. The other house guests did not appreciate that, so they kicked them out. So now 2 new sisters are supposed to come in to the house. So they devise a plan. Now, they kept saying prank. They're like, we're going to prank these new girls. I don't think they know the definition of the word prank. So what they did was they got a flour and they dressed up with the eye black stuff that, you know, football players put under their eyes. They TP'd the house basically. And when the 2 sisters walked in and they threw the flour and all these other things at them, those 2 sisters were like, you have got to be kidding me, and started fight. Like there was a brawl at the front door. They weren't even in the house, and those 2 sisters were like not having it at all. They were like, we walk into the house and we get jumped. They left. They blurred their faces. I've never seen this happen on the Bad Girls Club. They blurred their faces.
They lasted like
and
5
they
minutes?
lasted 5 minutes and were back in the limo, out the door.
See what you're
Gone.
missing? You have to
Okay,
get on the show.
I am titillated.
I feel like Vicki lost a bet one time where we required her to watch Bad Girls Club.
No.
She did, and then
No,
we never.
no,
it wasn't
no,
on.
it's not true. I think we tied because you had to watch Walking Dead. I had to watch
Bad Girls.
but I think we tied for whatever it was.
And then we called it just a
Yes,
draw.
I think it was the Oscar.
It was
we
the
tied in the
Oscars.
Oscar.
The
Okay,
season
fine.
just started.
Yeah, so you still have time. You still have time.
You should just watch one episode. Just play
It sounds
games.
like I want to watch the one from last night.
You do. If you're a listener of this podcast, and we may have lost you at this point because Anthony and I just went down a rabbit hole, and you watch the Bad Girls Club or The Real World or any other show that we've talked about today, please tweet us at TV Hangover Show. Email us, TV Hangover Show at NJ.com. I almost forgot. Or, leave a comment on the YouTubes or on the iTunes. Anything that you want to do. There are many ways to contact us. We will be back next week to talk more TV. Hopefully you'll be here because unfortunately we will be here.
We'll be here. We're not going anywhere.
Nowhere. Thank you for listening.